Hello everyone, I'm Giuseppe from DualShockers.com and I'll be your host in this 7th episode of our Weebcast. With me, as always, is our charming co-host, Emily Hobbs.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Again, I always wave whenever I do that and I don't know why.
So, if you're not familiar with our Weebcast, it's a weekly podcast in which we talk about Japanese game, anime, Japanese geek culture in general, and more related topics. And today, it is a related topic, more or less. It's about Akihabara, the otaku capital in Tokyo, that every weeb either regularly visits or wants to visit one day. But we'll get there in a bit. Now it's time to talk about the game we played this week. So, Emily?
Well, Giuseppe, I played Evil Within 2, and I finished that up. I've been working on that here and there a little bit, and it was on my backlog. But that is a Japanese game. It does fall into that category, like with Resident Evil, where people kind of forget that it's a Japanese game, but it is.
Okay.
But I'd still be talking about it even if it wasn't.
Okay.
But I can
say... from today on, you're forbidden to pronounce my name. Just call me G like everyone else, please.
G it is, then.
Okay. Because you're butchered it so badly.
It's fine.
It's not!
I'm going to call you G.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. But I can say Evil Within 2 is a definite improvement on the first game, in my opinion. I think gameplay is a lot tighter and just improved in general. The characterization is a lot stronger. Design, I really like. And when I say design, I mean world design partially, but mostly character and enemy design, sort of the thematic. Each of the bosses has like a thematic kind of design to them and their levels, essentially. And I think those are really strong, and they've got some really strong imagery. And I think it's a really, really solid survival horror game, and they got rid of that stupid letterboxing that was on the original one, which I enjoy. I appreciate that. But I would definitely recommend it.
And we also had your first review on the site, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah, I was going to talk about, I've been playing a lot of Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux, which is it's like an enhanced port to Strange Journey, which came out a while back. But I wrote a review for that, so you can check it out on the site if you want. But I've also been playing a lot of that because these games have multiple endings, so I've been going back through. I did a Chaos ending, and so I'm going back through, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do Law or Neutral yet, but I want to see the newer endings.
Yeah, don't talk about endings.
Because I only got one, but I want to go back through that. I've been really enjoying it because I haven't played SMT games since 4. I didn't get a chance to play Apocalypse, so it's really been scratching an itch for me because I'm a really big fan of the SMT games, so I've been enjoying it. I'd recommend it to people. But what have you been playing, G?
Well, I've been playing a lot of non-Japanese games again for reviews. Well, I've been playing Conan Exiles a lot, and a little bit more of a Total War Thrones of Britannia, because I still have to write those 2 reviews, because they're not games that you just play in 2 minutes and then review. But still, those are coming. I've been playing a game that I can't talk about, but that you will be able to read the review next week. For sure, it's under embargo, so I can't say anything more than that. And it's not Japanese as well. So, yeah. Actually, the only Japanese games I've been playing this week has been the usual mobile games. So, Movlava Alternative, Strike Frontier, and Grand Blue Fantasy. Unfortunately, the review gaming has been taking all my time for gaming. And I played actually a bit more of Final Fantasy 14. So that's Japanese. My Japanese gaming has been a little limited this week because I had 3 Western games to review. So that's definitely
I definitely experienced the crunch of playing a game for a review, and so I have a new appreciation for you having a bunch of games to review and them taking up all your time.
Yeah. Anyway, what about anime? You seen anything in particular?
Nothing too new. I haven't watched this week's episode of Tokyo Ghoul yet, but I did start going back from the beginning and actually watching the show from the first season. And I'm just really blown away at how strong it starts, I think, from a thematic standpoint, from exploring the nature of humanity and the relationship to these monster creatures that are really just people. Mm-hmm. And I've really been enjoying watching the first season. I'm probably going to stop when it ends. But I'm going to keep watching Re. That's been pretty good so far. But I haven't really watched too much in terms of anime. It's been a busy week for me. So. What about you?
Well, actually, I've been watching the usuals, so.
Unsurprising.
Well, yeah, but there is something new in this week because I've been watching the usual, Watakoi, Tadakun, and Legend of Galactic Heroes, and but those, they're still going great, so there isn't really no need to talk much about them. But I've actually been binging a very old anime, which is one of the few that I actually missed when I was much younger for some reason, which is Onegai Teacher. It's been
really?
For 2002. It's actually very nice. I actually like it a lot. And I don't know why I haven't seen it in the past 16 years, because it's very, very old. Sometimes there are so many anime out there, and I know that this is very popular, but I missed it. So I've been binging it for a while. And also, I've been binging another one, which is not an anime, but it's a manga, which I read from the beginning to the end. And that's Real Life, which also had an anime, but I haven't watched the anime. I just read the manga recently, and it's fantastic. I really loved it. It was originally a web manga, so it's all in color and all, but the art is great, and I really, really liked it. And it's great story, great characters, and I really loved it. Have you ever heard about it?
I saw the anime. I didn't watch it, but I saw it. I haven't read the webcomic or anything.
Yeah, but the anime, if I'm not wrong, it's 12 episodes, and the webcomic, it's the manga is 210 something.
So a little more
chapters. So I'm pretty sure that the anime doesn't even get close to how good the manga is, because it's the story is too great, and the story is too long, and it's the kind of story that if you don't really see it from the beginning to the end, it doesn't make sense. So it's it's one of those anime that do a season and then you kind of lose it, and you never know how it finishes unless you read the manga. I think I actually don't know where the anime goes or when it ends, but the story is very extensive because it goes for a full year for a 212 something chapters. So it takes a lot. Speaking of oldies but goldies, well, this is not too old, but this other one is very old, and it's another anime. That's called Kimi Nozomu Eien. We got Nozomu Eien, which is actually from the same it's from a visual novel, which is from the same authors of Movlove, which is basically on the same school starts in the same school of Movlove. So it has it's very much connected, but it's not connected to the science fiction part. It's connected to the school part. It has some connections to the science fiction part as well, but it's less connected. And it's a very tragic and interesting story. I like that.
So is it literally the same school?
Literally the same school. It's literally the same setting.
Oh, okay. So they're in the same universe.
1 year before, basically.
Okay. All right. That's interesting.
It's not a prequel because the prequel is basically something that it's released after, but it comes before. This is actually released before. But the anime, if you're not familiar with it, the American title was Rumbling Hearts. But I've seen it in Japanese, of course. But it's actually a very very good love story, very tragic, but it's the old style. So it's in the style of, I don't know, Orange Road and all those older kind of anime, which also Onegai Teacher kinda is part of those. So it's a very interesting style that's kind of got lost nowadays. Like the romantic anime are very different nowadays. So the story is basically something is basically a guy that gets with a girl. The girl has an accident, and she goes in a coma for 3 years. I don't remember if it's 2 or 3 years. And in the meanwhile, the guy gets with another girl, which is the best friend of this girl. You know, this other girl basically took care of him because he had PTSD for his girlfriend's accident. So in the end, after a while, they got together, and things seem to go better, and he seems to be recovering. And finally, the relationship seems to be stable. And guess what happens?
She wakes up.
Of course, she wakes up. So yeah, and of course, everything.
You write this shit.
Yeah. Of course, everything messes up. So, but it's a very interesting thing, and it was based on a visual novel. So of course, it chooses one route between the multiple routes that are available. So. But for once, actually chooses the route that I choose in the visual novel, which is something actually pretty rare. Because normally when they make an anime off a visual novel, they always choose the wrong route, which is the one I didn't pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I didn't pick it, it's the wrong one. Like if you have seen,
that's a very G answer.
Schwarzes Marken, for instance, which is a great anime based on an absolutely fantastic visual novel, which is actually a prequel of Mavlov. In the one I was telling about based in the 80s in East Germany, it picks a very, very wrong route.
Distinctly wrong.
It discards the obvious best girl, which is very, very bad. So, well, that's still a very good anime though. Anyway, and that's pretty much it for me for anime and manga. So, that's it, and it's time to talk about it.
That's it. All right.
Well, we finished. Let's go home.
Roll credits.
Yeah. So it's time to talk about our main topic, which is Akihabara. We have an interesting conversation here because I've been to Tokyo and to Akihabara in particular for 8 years now, like at least 2 or 3 times a year. So you could say I know Akihabara like the back of my pocket. I normally, when I go to Tokyo, I stay there well, my back pocket. I normally stay in Tokyo for about a month every time I go, 3 weeks to a month. And in Akihabara, like a lot, because I go there for work, for reporting, to just find inspiration for articles and stuff. So you could say that when I'm in Tokyo, I go to Akihabara at least once every 2-3 days, which means that I go to Akihabara a lot, at least like 30-40 times a year. Anyway, and Emily, on the other hand, has never been to Akihabara, right? Has never been to Japan.
I've never been outside of the continental U.S. So yeah, no, I'm not. I've never been to Japan.
But yes, so we're having a noob versus veteran conversation. Emily's gonna ask me about it.
Versus veteran, I should say.
Huh?
I don't know if it's like a versus conversation.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We're not gonna fight it out.
Well, who knows? Maybe we are.
Yeah, we're gonna give you a little touristy kind of guide and talk a little bit about some of the interesting points of Akihabara.
Yeah, let me give you an introduction. So Akihabara is an area in central Tokyo. In Tokyo, they actually call them cities. Like various districts of Tokyo, like people from Tokyo call them city. They call them machi. So it's basically city within a city. And originally it was mostly a place for little stalls selling electronic components, and they still exist. If you go into some of the areas in Akihabara, you still can find these little stalls with like so many little electronic components like diodes, bulbs, and like batteries, radios, and stuff. And then it expanded into a big electronic mech head, and then it expanded even more into an otaku area in which there are video games, manga, anime, and all that. So it had like several stages of evolution, and it's the city that changes very fast, but also kind of remains the same. More than other areas in Tokyo, at least in this in the time period in which I've been there. So in the past 8 years, it doesn't change all that much. Like some shops change, especially ramen shops. Those change very fast everywhere in Tokyo. Like especially one of my favorites has closed this year, and I was so sad. In Akihabara, by the way. But some shops change, but the flavor, it's kind of always the same. Actually, the funny thing is that many think that there are many game developers in Akihabara, but there aren't that many. Like, most game developers are not in Akihabara. Akihabara is mostly where there is the retail part. Like, most developers that are in Akihabara are like the small kind, like Acquire in Akihabara.
Okay.
Ixtal is in Akihabara, the publisher that works on Mavlov. But there aren't many really. Mostly it's shops and cafes, bars, and that kind of stuff. It's
maid cafes.
Yeah. Sorry, don't ask me about maid cafes, but contrary to popular belief, I've never been to one.
I wasn't gonna, but I felt like I should bring it up.
Yeah, I've been to cat cafes, but not to milk. Also, there is a brand new Procopine cafe. Like Hedgehog.
There's a
cafe.
what?
Hedgehog cafe.
Really?
Yeah, really. I'm not
That's
joking.
awesome.
Yeah.
You just go in and hedgehogs?
Yeah, absolutely. Hedgehog
That's
cafe.
awesome.
There are actually a lot of different cafes in Akihabara and themed after various video games. For instance, there is one that's themed after Final Fantasy XIV. Most of them are temporary, but the Final Fantasy XIV one was supposed to be temporary at the beginning, but then it was so successful that they kept it there. Then there is another one about Square Enix in general that they changed the video game it's dedicated to. But like every time it began with Final Fantasy 15,
yeah.
Then they put Dragon Quest, they put Nier Automata, they put several ones, and now I don't know what they have it there right now, but there are several. And then, it's mostly a matter of retail, so sales of various anime, manga, video games. Also, a lot of duty-free stuff there is, but that's crap for tourists. And and then there is mostly cafes and like all kind of entertainment, really. Which again, I don't know anything about maid cafes, so please don't ask me. I never went to one, and I will probably never go.
Everyone on Twitter, just go and ask him about maid cafes and all the maid cafes he's gone to, because he's clearly lying.
No, why would I lie? No, really. It's funnily, I never found the archetype of the maid any attractive. So, I mean... Yeah,
honestly, I probably wouldn't go to, because they have, butler cafes, too, in a similar vein, I know. And honestly, I probably wouldn't go to one of those, but, the themed cafes seem kind of fun.
The video game themed cafe are great.
Games.
The video game themed cafe are great. I think I already told in the previous podcast about the My Hero Academia cafe that was full.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that one.
You got the grade, right?
It was kind of fun, but I didn't go there on purpose. Someone dragged me there.
It would probably be more fun if it was a thing that you were passionate about.
The Final Fantasy 14 one, the Eorzea Cafe, is probably the best themed cafe I've been to. You can actually go there and play. There are computers in which you can play.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's but the atmosphere, the food is not that great. The one thing that's important is that if you go to themed cafe, the food is probably not gonna be great. It's gonna be average, and because the most important thing is the looks that fit the theme, and it's gonna be very much overpriced. So keep that in mind. If you go to themed cafe, first of all, it's especially if in Akihabara, it's a good thing to reserve your place, and most importantly, bring money with you because
bring money.
Yeah, because it's gonna be costly. As far as I
Makes
know,
sense,
maid
though.
cafes are even more costly. So if you want to go to one,
Yeah.
bring money with you. We were talking about themed cafe and maid cafe and butler cafes. Interestingly, there are very many kind of maid and butler cafes that have different kind of costumes. Like there is the ninja cafe, for instance.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Do ninjas serve you? Do they pop out of the ceiling?
no, but there are girls dressed like ninja. It's like a ninja maid cafe.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, my experience with this is actually just walking around Akihabara, and normally they have these ladies in front of the stores trying to drag you in and give you pamphlets.
Yeah.
So you kind of get a sample of the kind of cafe that are there because there is a girl in front of it with the costume that they wear at the cafe that's giving you pamphlets and that you try to like dribble around them to avoid them.
As they're trying to drag you in and be like, "Oh, come on in," and
The same time in which I was dragged with my friend into the My Hero Academia cafe, he basically was stopping at every time one of these ladies wanted to give him a pamphlet because he thought it was rude to refuse them. So now you know why.
It's awkward.
Now you know why he was dragged into the cafe because he couldn't say no.
It's like when you're, at least in America, when you're in a mall and they have those little shops where they give out free samples, and the guy's like, the kiosks where they give out the free samples, and the guy always like runs at you and is like, "Here, try this skincare cream or something," and you're like, "No."
Anyway,
but you can't say no.
Yeah, there are some interesting one. Even some interesting choice of costumes. One of the most fascinating that actually I've seen a lot of these ladies outside of their shop because it's close to Animate, which is a big mall that sells anime stuff. Is I think Russo-Japanese war themed cafe. Like there is a like kind of like fetish, let's say, in like very like lax meaning of the term fetish, which is like uniform, and these ladies wear like old style 1918 military uniforms, officer military uniforms, because there are some shoujo manga that featured those kind of characters, so they're very popular. But that's actually pretty interesting costumes. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there are quite a few of these, and like they change a lot. Of course, there are the classic Maid Cafe, like some of them are even chains, like Maid Dreamin'. If you go to Akihabara, you will hear this little song, Maid Dreamin', whatever, and that's very popular because there are like there are like 5 of them in Akihabara, or 6 or more. So there are basically at every corner, and they have this little song in the like ringing outside of it, so that you know when it's
song
close to
that
one.
stays with you.
Yeah, but it's not attractive for me. So, in any case,
Yeah, but
this
it
is
sticks in your head.
one of the things that you will notice as soon as you go to Akihabara, because they're very visible, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, but of course we are more interested in the like whip stuff, right?
Yeah, and I know in Akihabara they have a lot with sort of tech and electronics, like you were talking about.
There is the two biggest electronic stores in Tokyo, of course, which also have video games in them, of course, which is the Yodobashi camera, which is on the I believe west side or east side, some east maybe.
It's on the side somewhere.
It's basically, if you go to the part that's called Electric City, it's on the other side of the tracks. But it's like one of the biggest electronic stores in Tokyo. And if you see on the internet pictures of Japanese gamers lining up to go buy something new, like a new console, for instance, the Switch or whatever, that's normally at Yodobashi Camera in Akihabara, because that's kind of the classic place where you go.
Okay.
Neat. And this is a big mall with, like, they sell everything from video games to music, CDs, DVDs, appliances, beauty stuff, pretty much everything. And then there is a big camera on the other side, which is also very big, and so it's pretty much the same things. And then there are a few like more specialized shops. For instance, Softmap is more specialized in video games, but they also have things like, of course, there are several soft maps, and they tend to be specialized on different things. So there is the PC soft map. There is all mostly PC stuff, like hardware. And then there is the video game soft map that is pretty much all video games, or mostly weeb stuff, otaku stuff. There are no Japanese weebs. So, but they have like first floor is video games, new video games. Second floor is, I believe, used video. Sorry. First floor is actually like crappy touristy stuff, like Kit Kats, beauty things.
Stuff to get them in, to draw them in.
Yeah, it's tourist stuff. Second floor is new video games. Third floor is used video games. Fourth floor is PC games. Fifth floors is used PC, use anime, music and DVDs. Then there is another floor that I don't remember if I'm actually not sure if I'm getting them right, but I'm just giving you an example of the floors there. And then the last floor, then the second to last floor is like erotic video game stuff, and the last floor is like events about stuff that you probably don't care about. You understand what I mean?
I gotcha. I'm picking
up.
Now.
The more you go closer to the top, the more forbidden.
The weirder it gets.
Not weirder, the more forbidden it gets.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And Safma is probably the biggest chain you can see in Akihabara because there are so many. They're specialized on pretty much their different specialization. And there are actually two of them that have this setup with video games, manga, anime. Sorry, not manga. They don't have manga. Anime and anime music, figures, and like all this like otaku stuff. Let's say it's a bit of a improper definition, but it's the easiest way to say it.
Yeah.
So,
but
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, if we have any viewers who are maybe visiting Japan and are interested in going to go check out Akihabara, if you had any places that you would recommend as like must-go locations for them.
Akihabara has my favorite activity personally in Akihabara is looking for pre-owned stuff, because
okay,
the Japanese
deal hunting.
Yeah, the Japanese culture, they have a concept that's called motainai, which literally means what a waste. Basically, it's their concept is that it's a waste to throw away stuff or just to abandon it in some corner of your house. So if you don't care for a figure anymore or for a video game, instead of just leaving it there, you would probably sell it.
Okay.
If you don't find anyone to give it away, you will sell it. So, and in Akihabara, there are many shops that are specialized in buying this kind of stuff and then reselling it. Like Mandarake is the biggest, but there are many like Trader as well, for instance. And on top of the big two, there are Mandarake and Trader. There are also Softmap also at its own section of a pre-owned stuff. There are many smaller stores that also do it. And the interesting thing, and this goes for video games, anime stuff, manga, books, CDs, DVDs, figures, everything you might want to know to get
to own.
In Akihabara, you can find pre-owned. Actually, many things it's harder to find them new than pre-owned in Akihabara. Like a vast majority of the figure shops, they will sell you pre-owned figures, for instance. That's actually the charm of it, because these in Japan, pre-owned stuff is top notch, like quality. You will not find, you will find sometimes, but it's rarer to find like low quality, low condition stuff that actually things that are very close to mind conditions, pretty much. So buying pre-owned in Akihabara is not a way to get bad deals. It's a way to get very good deals. And even if honestly there are better places in Tokyo, like in Nagano, for instance, but if you want to go to Akihabara, like it's a good thing to go to both. Like
I hear you typing.
Yeah,
but I didn't know that about. Yeah.
No, I'm just making sure it's Nagano and not Nakano because I always confuse between them. But yeah, it's basically there is another giant Otaku mecca, pretty much, which is it's called Nakano Broadway, and it's in Nakano, of course, which is a district on the other side of Tokyo, and that's the second place you would want to go besides Akihabara to see both sides of otaku culture. In this place, they have a little bit more vintage things, so it's like in Akihabara is more like flavor of the month things, while in Nakano Broadway you will find a lot more older stuff, like Mandarake, which is the biggest pre-owned chain in Japan, adds like 20 shops in that mall. Like it's
wow, really?
Yeah, they have one shop for every single thing. Why in Akihabara, Mandarake,
for every single thing.
They have one shop for tokusatsu things, one shop for anime, one shop for books, one shop for video games, one shop for figures, one shop for robots, one shop for older robots. They have one shop for vintage toys, which are like super costly.
Oh wow, cool. Yeah.
They have like a ton of shops in Nakano Broadway, while in Akihabara they have an enormous skyscraper shops with like 7 floors. Also, one floor is each like different thing. One floor for games, one floor for manga and all that, and to sell pre-owned stuff. Like Mandarake is one stop for everything, pretty much. And the good thing about like deal hunting is that there is no set price. So you're very likely to find the same thing at different prices. Like for instance, I love Mavlov robots. They are like they are from 2010, 2012. So you can always almost only find them pre-owned. You will very difficult to find them new. And the same robot you can find the original price in 2010 was like 6,000 yen, which is like $60 more or less. And now you find them for 1,000 or 2,000 maximum. Some of them you can find them for 3,000. But the same robots in one shop you can find for 3,000, and in another shop you can find it for 1,000. So you can get the full action figure for $10 or less. So it's really a matter of like walking around Akihabara a lot and finding the best deal, literally.
And to me, at least, that seems like a lot of fun to kind of go around and be like, oh, I'm getting the best deal, and that sort of thing.
Especially if you're not afraid to have your legs hurting a lot at the end of the day.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
If you do this, your legs will hurt a lot at the end of the day. Especially if you're a girl and you wear heels.
I'm not wearing heels to go deal hunting.
I went with a friend once, more than once actually, but this friend insisted to wear pretty high heels.
That's a mistake.
And I'm like, are you sure? This lady loves anime, loves manga, and loves figures. So she basically she finished that day with 2 big bags full of figures, and which I carried most of the times.
Well, good. Very gentlemanly of you.
Yeah, but she was still having to walk through the whole thing, right?
Yeah. So, they're not comfy.
Yeah, she was like really hurting at the end of the day. I was really sorry for her, and I warned her. And she's like, "No, it's fine. I'm used to it." Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you can only develop so many calluses on your feet.
Yeah, do not go to Akihabara if you plan on deal hunting. Wear comfortable shoes. Like that's a must.
Wear some nice, comfy shoes. Yeah,
especially if you don't want to wait for elevators a lot, because a lot of the shops are like on multiple floors, or some of them are even hidden on top floors, or like not on the first floor. So in an elevator, of course, there is only one elevator for shops normally, and there is a lot of people, so you have to wait like even 5-10 minutes for the elevator sometimes. So you'd go up and down stairs a lot, unless you want to wait. So that's one of the tricks in Akihabara as well, to get a little bit familiarized with the idea of that you won't find all the shops on the first floor or right on the street side. you need to kind of be able to learn at least like guessing what the signs on the side of the buildings are, so you can actually see what shops are like on the top floors, because there is no other indication unless you look for them on the internet than the signs on the front of the shops. There is no like window on the street floor. So yeah, it's a matter of exploration. Sometimes you find yourself in some
that's fun.
pretty embarrassing places, but
oh really?
It's also part. Well, yeah, a lot of the times, like the floors in different buildings are completely different things. So you may end up.
What you get yourself into?
Well, you may end up in like entering in a place and you discover it's a very weird maid cafe, so you immediately run away.
So you're like, oh, this isn't what I wanted, and you leave.
Yeah. Or if you are the kind of person that gets like embarrassed about visiting a video game that sells erotic games, you'll definitely enter those. There is no reason to be
that's something
embarrassed,
to watch out for.
because in Akihabara, in Japan in general, it's a completely normal thing, actually. And it's one thing that you see a lot in Akihabara, for instance, is that if you see a shop that sells PC games, like 90% of that shop is going to be erotic games. Because the biggest part of the Japanese market for PC games is erotic games. So
that makes sense.
the funny thing is that if you want to go grab a copy of Skyrim in Akihabara, you will have to be 18, because you will have to go to the PC games floor in a shop which is normally restricted to 18 and older, because like 90% of those are like are like erotic games. So be prepared to see a lot of boobs.
Prepared.
Not real ones,
but
anime ones,
yeah,
but still.
Yeah.
Like, but
there are other shops for those.
In Japan, in Akihabara in particular, you should really not feel embarrassed to go in those kind of places, because they're very much normal. No one really judges you. Like, it's funny because in the West, you see, like, just to make an example, just to go to the store and buy condoms. See a lot of people that still try to be very sneaky about it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're like, oh, I'm buying these for a friend or something. Like,
in Japan, there is absolutely no like shame in buying something sexual, especially in Akihabara. No one will judge you for your for whatever are your real or perceived fetishes. So even if you go, for instance, if you go to like erotic game stores, PC game, you'll see a lot of ladies browsing like anyone else. So
interesting.
It's absolutely normal, and well, it's a very open thing in Japan. Consuming this kind of media is not seen as a sinful or strange things. Like you're not considered neckbeard if you like this kind of stuff. So I've never seen anyone giving anyone strange looks for that, which is great. I actually like that attitude a lot. And that's one of the things in Akihabara, is that whatever your passion is, you will feel accepted. You will feel at home. Make sense?
Yeah, and I think it's really important for people who maybe it's their first time going to Japan and they're very conscientious about, I don't want to offend people or offend local culture, to know that these sorts of things are out there in the street and they're there for you to peruse and partake of, and that's
and also,
fine. Like,
Akihabara is one of the places in Tokyo in which you will find more people speaking English, by the way.
Oh, okay, that's good for people who speak exclusively English like me.
Well, like almost everyone that goes for the first time in Japan.
True, yeah.
Like my Japanese is like very basic, so it's still difficult for me to hold the conversation in Japanese. So most of the times I will just instinctively go English, and because most of the people that see me will instinctively try to speak to me in English because they think I don't speak any Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, because I'm just a gaijin.
Because you're just some guy that's on the street and doesn't look like everyone else.
I look like a big Westerner, so they think I speak only English, and sometimes I encourage them to think that because I kind of embarrassed of my Japanese. So even if you can speak a little bit of Japanese, even if you don't speak it well, the Japanese they will speak to, they will be very happy to see you try.
Mm-hmm. I've noticed that whenever I watch videos of people or hear about people going to Japan, that the people there are very happy to see you at least give it a shot, like
even
give
just
it your all.
Starting a conversation, even just starting a conversation, if you start with sumimasen, which means excuse me, if you start with that and then you continue in English, you get their attention with sumimasen, and then you could try in English, but they see it as you trying to be polite, and they're much more open to try and speak English to you after that. But anyway, this is we're kind of digressing. Thing is, the most fun activity in Akihabara for me is deal hunting, and you can find everything you want to deal on. And one thing that's important about this is that many of the deals are not even pre-owned things, because many times you will find things that are like that are being sold at a big discount because they have some small infinitesimal flow that can even be seen on the naked eye unless you're really looking for it. So especially
small manufacturing defect.
This is especially for figures and action figures. So you will be able to find very much discounted figures, and I'm talking about like 90% discount or something like that, or 80% discount.
Wow!
Because they have this very super small flow that you can't even see. Because Japanese are very, very, very stuck on quality. So a shop would not sell at normal price a good that is not perfect. Another possibility is that it doesn't have a box. Like the box got damaged, so that will add a further discount on it. Or like for pre-owned stuff, most of it doesn't have a box at all, so they will sell it at a very, very low price because it's pre-owned and it doesn't have a box. And sometimes there are like multiple of those factors that work into creating very low prices. Like
interesting.
Yeah, you see some very big discount bins in most shops in Akihabara, and you can just browse those and you'll find very cheap figures. Most of those are like the popular stuff like One Piece, Dragon Ball, but there are even like remarkable things that you can be found. Like I bought figures that cost like 10,000, 12,000 yen for like 1,000.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah,
and from my perspective, because my father owns a hardware store, and I did a lot of like unpacking shipments, and putting away goods, and just the idea of the box is messed up, or there's something wrong. Like even working at my grandfather's jewelry store, like there's never a shipment where there isn't something that's been scuffed up or messed up, and the idea of them setting it away for like 80%, 90% discounts, I mean, is exciting for me because I get it at a really great deal, but it's just so interesting to me and kind of foreign in a way, but I think
because
really
it doesn't
neat.
happen in the West, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, we just throw it on the shelf and people take it, and it's like, oh, whatever.
Exactly. It's a very Japanese thing, but yeah, if you go to look for these discount bins, you'll find very interesting and it's just exciting. It's just exciting to browse those.
I can imagine.
Like to dig into these because you're literally digging into it because they are just thrown there. And
it feels like a treasure hunt.
Exactly. That's literally, personally, it's one of my favorite activities in Japan. You just go there, especially if you're not alone. That's a great thing. Well, you have two things. You can go alone, so you get all the deals. Or you can go with a friend, which is a lot more, or a group of friends, which is very fun to look together. But in that case, you will have to share the deals that you find.
I also think it's really fun when you go and you're not necessarily looking for something very specific. You're just looking, what can I find?
Absolutely.
And that way you don't get hung up on, I didn't find this. And instead you think, I found this, and this, and this is, for a great deal. So I think that's definitely something
and the great
people
thing
who maybe...
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, people who may be planning a trip to Japan should consider making a day out of it.
Consider bringing an extra suitcase as well.
Yeah.
No, because
I remember when you were back in Japan.
My last trip to Japan, I ended up buying too much stuff, like too much discounted stuff, which means that I spent like $200 more or less. I bought like 15 Mavlov robots, which is like crazy, just because I'm collecting those. And
yeah,
I actually literally had to buy a suitcase too.
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, it was kind of messy. I actually just went to Amazon and bought. If you have to buy a suitcase in Japan, Amazon Japan is what you want, because they will deliver it in a day to your hotel and you're fine. If you go to try and find a suitcase outside, you will spend a lot more. Anyway, especially since it's cheaper on Amazon and it's easier.
Yeah, Amazon's taken over the world.
For video games, for video games, if you look into the pre-owned market, mostly a Trader, Mandarake, Softmap has a lot as well. You will find some really old collector's edition, like
neat,
near mint condition, for really cheap. Like my last trip to Japan, I bought basically all the collector's edition of nearly all the Mavlov games. Because it's Mavlov, which has like 10 games dating all the way back to 2000 something. And I spent, between all of them, which is pretty much 10 collector's edition, I believe, I spent less than $100.
That's amazing. Together,
with all the goodies inside.
We look at new collector's edition stuff nowadays, and you could be talking like hundreds of dollars. And yeah, I know. And the idea of something older, which tends to, oftentimes when it's older and rarer, it kind of goes up in value a little bit, and being in mint condition, and for you to get all of those at under $100 is like amazing to me.
You also find like all the goodies inside. Normally they're well, like they actually tell you that you're not guaranteed to find the goodies inside, but the thing is that they're very courteous. So I actually got one that was missing a piece of like a collector's items inside. The day after, I went there with my receipt, and they absolutely exchanged it. And if they can't exchange it with a full one because they don't have it, they will give you the money back.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a soft map, actually. They had like I think it was volume 3 of Mavlov Alternative Chronicles, and inside it has a dog tag of one of the characters, and it only had the rubber part of dog tag inside, but not the metal part. So I brought it back the day after, absolutely no problem. They gave me the money back because they didn't have another copy. I went to Trader and I found the same copy for less. And this one actually, because the thing is, even for video games, you will find them at different prices. So I got it, the first time I did not look well enough because I got it for more. And the day after, because of this thing, I actually found the same thing for less with all the goods inside. So it's also it's very rare though that you will not find something that's complete.
Yeah, and with a lot of the products being kind of pre-owned or having that sort of pre-used mentality, the price range I can see how that can fluctuate compared to something that's newer, where there might be more of a fixed point because you have to get like your money back or whatever. But with pre-owned, I definitely see how there be a lot of variability in prices, and that's neat. I mean,
the one advice that I would give you if you go and buy pre-owned things is don't go the last day of the trip, because there is the possibility that you will get a product that's not perfect. That's not some of them are not perfect by nature because they are discounted, because they are not perfect. But sometimes you will find a product that will not satisfy your expectations, let's say, because you think it's like this one that did not have a piece inside, and they will exchange it. But of course, if you get it on the last day of your trip, you won't be able to have the time to go back. So
that makes sense.
So always try to go like at least with 1 day to spare. So if you have to go and bring something back, it's very rare, honestly, that in eight years, that's the only time I had to go back and bring back something. But it can happen because it's, It's a big market. And also always bring cash with you, because not all the shops in Japan, that's surprising for many, because it's a very informatized, and computerized nation, but not all shops and this is all Japan, not just Akihabara, not all shops accept credit cards.
Interesting. Okay.
So always bring cash, but this is like a general advice for Japan. Do not expect all shops, all restaurant, everything to just accept credit cards, because you will be disappointed. And sometimes it's also difficult to find an ATM. Actually, if you go for banks, the best way to find an ATM that accept Western credit cards or Western ATM cards is in convenience stores. If you go to 7-Eleven, the ATM will be perfectly accepting your card, and you will have no problems. But if you sometimes when you go to an actual bank, they will not accept a foreign card, or it will be closed after 5 p.m., which is a weird thing. But
yeah, 5 p.m. Wow.
Like Japan is like that. But convenience stores are open 24/7, which is one of the great things of Japan. 7-Eleven is the one that I will accept every card that you need. So if you find a 7-Eleven, you're fine. Interesting. Speaking of convenience stores, there is a convenience store in Akihabara of the Lawson chain, which is themed after Dragon Quest.
Oh, really?
They have all Dragon Quest goodies in there. It's actually fun. Yeah, it's a Dragon Quest convenience store, and they have old goodies. They have the windows painted with Dragon Quest characters and all that, and it's actually in front of Mandarake. So if you go to Mandarake, which is the big pre-owned shop, you will see it, because it's right in front of it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Definitely. So what else are you curious about?
Well, let's see. We were talking earlier about the Kanda Shrine, which is...
Oh, Kanda Myojin.
Is it...
Yes.
Yeah, is it in Akihabara, or is it near?
It's actually
that
near
area?
Akihabara. It's a bit out of the way. It's about 400 meters off the main street in Akihabara, but it's very easy to find. And it's funny because Kanda Myojin has a reputation. It's a shrine. It's a Shinto shrine, of course, and it got popularized by the fact that it appeared on the anime Love Live. I don't know if you ever seen it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but...
Yeah, it's the usual, idol anime.
Yeah.
And basically one of the feature is that those idols were training by running up and down the stairs of this temple that goes to this temple. So that staircase is very popular among otaku. And the temple has gotten this reputation of being the otaku shrine, because they actually have a marketing deal with Love Live.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because in Japan, Shinto monks are very business savvy, and they will do marketing deals. So basically, this shrine, the mascot of this shrine is the character of the cast of the Love Live game. So the anime. So if you go to the shrine, you will see the characters dressed like Miko, the shrine maids, and also you will find the Emma, which are the prayer table, the prayer tablets that normally Japanese hang up on these racks. To express their wishes. They have a ton of anime and manga or video game designs, which is funny. A lot of otaku go there because it's Akihabara. And
I was looking at some pictures of them.
Yeah, I will never forget it was last year, actually 2 years ago. It was just before the announcement, the reveal of the Switch in Japan in January. I went to Japan, and it was just between the reveal of the Switch in January and the release of the Switch in March. So there was a ton of tablets. One of the tablets that was saying, "I want to buy a Switch. I hope I will be able to find the Switch at launch."
Aww. That's adorable.
Yeah, and some of them are at Splatoon characters on them, or Mario,
Yeah.
But you will find a lot of this. It's very cute. They also have a pony.
Oh, good.
Because the mascot of that temple is a pony, which actually tried to pee on my shoe once.
Hey, you probably did something to
I
it
did
to upset
nothing.
it.
I was just standing there
You
taking a
probably
picture.
accosted the pony and just...
Well, everyone accosts it. That's what he's there for.
Everyone accosts the pony.
He's there in a fence to have tourists look at it.
Yeah.
So I was just standing in front of it. He tried to pee on my shoe. I avoided him.
All right, so G's not going to any horse farms anytime soon.
No, never. I'm not the farm animal kind of guy.
I made friends with chickens.
That temple is definitely one place that you should visit in Akihabara. Not only for the otaku stuff, but also because it's like a very, very beautiful temple. Like
and the cultural experience too. Yeah.
Because there is a difference between shrine and temple. So if you call a shrine a temple, they will actually correct you. It's a shrine. Anyway, yeah. And then if you go around Akihabara, there are a lot of things to see. Well, of course, there are some great places to eat. Like Akihabara, it's a fantastic place to eat. Of course, there are good places to eat and bad places to eat, but and normally it's kind of cheap because, of course, it's a geek town, so geek don't really want to spend too much for eating, unless you go to Cafe, in which case you're gonna be like ripped off. But if you go to normal places to eat, you will eat well and for cheap, which is great. But it's not a costly place to go, unless you go for the rip-off discount stuff. Like not discount, sorry, the rip-off like duty-free things for tourists. But you should avoid those. They have nothing to do with weeb stuff anyway. So what else do you want to know about Akihabara?
Well, I think we could talk a lot about Akihabara, but do you want to roll into the news, or do you want to keep talking on it?
Is there something else that I would like to bring up? Another thing that's interesting, it's also retro video games. I was forgetting about that. There is not only pre-owned games, there's also a lot of like very good retro shops. There's mostly on the smaller side. Like there is Super Potato on the back street.
What's it called?
Super Potato.
Oh, that's so cool.
I don't know why it's called like that. Which is actually great because they have like 3 floors, I believe, and the 2 floors are like vintage consoles and console games. And they have like all kind of like old consoles. They have whole stacks of GameCubes, Game Gears, PlayStations, Super NES, in all kind of conditions, for very cheap. And the last floor, you find an actual game center, an actual arcade with the old arcade machines in it. So there is everything you want. And also there is a lot of arcade centers as well. Like there are a few big Sega arcades, actually 3, or 2. 1, 2 are the big ones. And then there is a couple of Taitos as well. Oh, 3 actually, 3 Sega and a Taito that I remember. And the Sega ones are really big, and they also make a lot of events there. Like when there is a new Sega game to present, they make events there to present those games. And like for instance, there was an event for Yakuza Kiwami 2 last time I went. And I actually had like a message board for messages to the developers, and I left them a it was for Okuto no Gagotoku, the Fist of the Last Start one. And I actually left a message on behalf of DualShockers readers, telling them please localize this game from the West. So I made sure that your voice was heard.
Your voice was heard in this shop in Japan.
Those are like the lower floors normally are UFO catchers, which is which is basically like a crane machine.
Like the claw machine, right?
Yeah. In which there are a lot like figures, for instance, that you can get if you are lucky. I would advise against trying to get those figures there, because they're very difficult to get. I've never managed. 2 or 3 years ago, my girlfriend of the time was really wanted a Final Fantasy 14 super deformed figure, and I was like, okay, let's try it.
See what we can do.
Yeah, I spent 4,000 yen trying, and I did
man.
get it, which is like $40. I did
Yeah,
not
it's
get
like
it at all.
$40.
And that's like a small box, so it was actually easier than most. Then I went to one of the shops randomly, and I just found it there for 500 yen. Yeah.
That's funny.
So if you really want the figure that you see in one of those UFO catcher crane machines at a
Go shop around.
you will find it. Absolutely, and that won't be costly. So
And it won't be $40. It'll be $5.
Unless you're a magician and you're very good at those things, you're almost guaranteed to spend less if you just find it at the shop. Because there is a lot of people that just get these figures and then sell them at the shops. And those are people that are very much used to them, so they know all the tricks pretty much. So
all the MLG
know how to
Pro
actually get
tricks.
them. And so, yeah, definitely avoid getting it. And then if you go up the floors, you find like a fighting game floor with all the like Blaze Blue, Street Fighter, Tekken, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Also the Pokemon Pokken Tournament. And then there are like a lot of very specialized rhythm game floors. Those are very popular.
Oh, yeah, 'cause they're big. Yeah,
There is a
big into
super
rhythm
big
games.
scene in Akihabara about rhythm games, and actually it's probably one of the things that it's spectacular to just go and watch people, because the people you will find at those arcades, you will not believe what you see. You will see their hands moving so fast that you will be like, and there is almost always someone like that.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, you will see. What the hell is this guy doing? How is he following
They're like,
this?
is he magic?
Yeah, that's like really people that are really good.
Yeah, I imagine. I mean,
If you go to
there
the
are people who
central
could probably
Sega,
go.
if you go to the central Sega in Akihabara, you will find something that's very peculiar. Unfortunately, I think it's only for guys.
Okay.
Can you guess what it is?
No.
I actually
Some
wrote an
sort of
article
maid
in the past
cafe?
about it. It's something in a game center that is only for guys. What's your guess?
Oh, is it like a VR? What was it that they had? I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't know how to describe
it's
it.
not VR.
Okay, then I don't know what you're talking about.
It's something only guys can functionally use.
I don't want to say it.
You don't want to say it?
Is it like some sort of
It's not sexual.
device? Oh, it's not?
Not sexual.
Not?
No.
Something that only guys can use that's not sexual.
Yes.
Tell me what it is. I'm not going to
It's
get it.
Toilet video games.
A toilet? What?
There is a there are toilets in these arcade that actually Sega like released those video games for toilets, and you find them in Yakuza
What?
6. Haven't you played Yakuza 6?
Yeah, but I didn't.
Wait, actually, it's
know.
not in Yakuza 6. It's in Yakuza Kiwami 2. Actually, that's why you haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, those basically are
What?
video games that you played them by. Sorry,
By
Emma.
peeing.
By peeing.
No, you're good.
Hitting the target.
This is way better than I thought it was going to be.
By hitting the target with your pee.
Oh my
And
god.
it scores you.
Like
and
in a
there's
card-
And in Yakuza Kiwami 2, you will see these video games in action.
I'm excited for that.
And it's actually a reproduction of those games, the same games that you see in these arcade. If you play Yakuza Kiwami when it will come out this summer, and you're fascinated by these video games, you go in Sega sold them, but they weren't successful, obviously. Because
Weird. that they
how
weren't
did they
successful.
think that they could be successful? But they
can't
still
imagine why
have
not.
them. They still have them at these arcades. So you won't find them in very many places, but they still have them in this arcade in Akihabara. So you can go there and test how good you are.
Oh my god.
You can actually find.
I just have no words.
if you want the experience, but you don't want to actually go there, you can just go to my article, in which there is even a video of me testing them without audio and without actually seeing me.
I'm gonna have to look this up.
Well, I actually tried to cheat at them.
Oh, really? You can cheat them?
Well, I got a bottle of water.
Oh, no.
Well, I tried. I mean, it didn't let me cheat. I don't know how the hell because the point is to hit a marker, okay?
Yeah. It's like those water gun games
with the most
carnivals.
possible, with the most consistent and powerful stream that you can. A long stream. But just a bottle of water did not work. I don't know why.
Really? Interesting. Yeah. Maybe it can test. Maybe it can detect if it's water or not.
No, I don't think that's that. I don't know what it is, but I don't think I want to know.
I don't either. But this is interesting.
I don't think these games are in the toilets for the ladies. So if you're a lady, unfortunately, you won't
that's a shame.
That's I know you're hurt by this.
It's a true loss for women everywhere, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't expect you to break that out. I didn't know that was a thing.
Well,
interesting.
It's a thing in Akihabara, so yeah, of course I'm breaking it out. It's probably
the
weirdest thing you'll find there.
I mean, that's definitely up there.
Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely. But yeah, I think pretty much, unless you have questions.
That's our little mini traveler's guide to Akihabara, and if you're interested,
big city, so maybe we'll have a part 2 if people have questions.
Oh, there's definitely,
If you guys have questions about anything in Akihabara that you would like to know more about, maybe put them in the comment, and we'll gather them and see if there is material to do a part 2 of these one of these days.
And if you're interested in more kind of like this, where we talk about certain areas in Japan or just things about Japan, then let us know, because it's been fun talking about this so far.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
especially
the
last part, right?
Yeah, the last part.
I can see
learned
you blushing.
So much. I have a new fun fact to tell all my friends.
I can see you blushing. I know that.
I'm just so fascinated by that, and I'm so shocked that it didn't do well. Like, didn't sell well.
Well, yeah.
I don't understand.
Totally impossible to understand, right?
I don't understand. It seems like it hits all the check boxes.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh man.
Okay, so let's talk about our news, Japanese news from the fold.
Shall we?
Okay, we had a confirmation that Death Stranding is going to appear at the 3. It's going to have a new trailer. Hideo Kojima is teasing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So,
the hype for Kojima games is always, to me, really exciting. Sometimes more exciting than the game itself, but I definitely think I'm going to be interested in Death Stranding.
Yeah, you
want
to see what shenanigans is going to put in that trailer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they can top the little child giving a thumbs up in the guy's womb, to be honest.
Like in the bottle womb thing.
I wonder what shenanigans. He's probably going to introduce a new actor, probably, because at every major event it does that.
It's been a very star-studded cast. I mean,
maybe an actress. It's gonna be about time too.
Maybe a baby actor. Oh man. But yeah, I'm enjoying the hype of Death Stranding, I think, a lot.
It's probably going to be very crazy.
Weird. Yeah. Gonna have to have an existential crisis afterwards, probably.
Yeah, definitely. Then Yoshimitsu is going to appear in Soul Calibur 6. So our crazy ninja is going to be there. Yay!
Yay!
Are you interested in Soul Calibur 6?
Probably not. I don't do too much with the Soul Calibur games, but it's good to see Yoshimitsu there. I like him. I really liked his design in Tekken 7.
Spin.
I mean he does spin a lot. But I liked his design in Tekken 7. It was really it was different. but interesting.
Soul Calibur 6 design seems to be more traditional with like Oni mask and stuff like that.
That makes sense. I'm sure it'll be like a costume, maybe.
Oh yeah, there will probably going to be a million costumes sold as DLCs.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Then,
when's his swimsuit costume coming out?
Utawareru no Zan, which is the new action game they're working on with Tamsoft, got the first trailer. So we finally saw how that game comes out and what the game looks like. It looks like a action game in the Utawareru no Sensor series that kind of looks like Senran Kagura in some ways. So it looks interesting, though.
Yeah.
I like the series, so I'm pretty interested in seeing what they do with that. It kind of needed a bit of a shake-up, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how it is.
Yeah.
Then they revealed... Sorry, go ahead. You had something to say?
Oh, no, go on ahead.
Okay. Ballet Girl Fantasia re-revealed, basically, after a silence... since like TGS, the Tokyo Game Show in 2017, and it's going to come out on August 9, and it's the usual waifu game in which you can destroy costumes and do really weird stuff with the girls, so we'll leave it at that. It's a tree publisher game, so you know what you're going into, if you would.
Yeah, you know what you're buying.
Yeah, definitely. Then Okami HD is going to be released on Switch in Japan on August 9th. Which means that it's probably gonna come to the West in a similar time frame. Normally they...
More than likely.
Yeah, Capcom tries to keep the releases kind of close.
I think the Switch is a really good console for Okami in terms of
it's gonna have a
gyroscope
support and motion controls and touch screen support, so it's going to be pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a solid console.
The graphics are not going to be as good as PS4 and Xbox One, but, that's what you expect.
It's not a huge issue with that game, though, because it's more stylized.
Yeah.
So I think...
But in 4K, it does look good. Anyway, sad news. For those that expected to play Shenmue 3 in 2018, not going to happen. It's going to be 2019. We don't know when in 2019, so it could be winter or summer, but raise his hand who didn't expect this. So it also makes sense, I guess, because I don't.
Yeah, these things happen.
I mean, it wouldn't have made much sense to release Shenmue 3 before Sega releases Shenmue 1 and 2. Because that way, at least people that haven't played the original games can play the first games, and then they can play Shenmue 3. I think that's also one of the reasons why they decided to delay it.
It could be, and that definitely helps build up the hype for Shenmue 3 when you have re-releases come out.
Absolutely.
Or remasters, I should say.
Absolutely. Then Zone of the Enders, the second runner Mars, which is the remake of Zone of the Enders second runner, well, remaster mostly. It's coming out on September 4th in North America and September 6th in Europe and in Japan. So North Americans get it first with PlayStation VR support and all the goodies and renew gratis. And it's a Kojima game. Come on. Who doesn't work?
I'm definitely excited,
It was a fantastic game. And I tried it already in a Tokyo Game Show. It was a lot of fun. I tried it on PlayStation VR. And probably one of my favorite PlayStation VR games, which is why it got our best VR game at Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah, but that's interesting, the whole VR aspect of it. I'm interested to see how that works. Exactly, yeah.
When you're inside the robot, there is no better game than robot simulators in VR.
Exactly, yeah, and I'm surprised we don't see more of it. Like, bring the Armored Core games.
They're difficult to make because the cockpit thing is a little bit difficult to pull when you're actually walking around. It's easier. Yeah. The thing is that from what I see, it's easier when you're driving a car or like driving a plane. Like I had great sensations when with Ace Combat 7 on VR because it's very natural. A robot is walking around, so it gives you the same sensation to people that are a bit queasy. I'm not, but so it doesn't affect me. But people are a bit queasy have problems with walking, and robots walk. So it's a little more harder to pull than like flight simulators or car driving and stuff like that.
Yeah, I get that.
But Zone of the Enders is good for it because GOT flies mostly. It doesn't walk.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So it helps. So Persona 5 sold 2.2 million copies, which is a new milestone for it. This is worldwide, of course.
Yeah.
And VanillaWare's new game, The 30 Sentinels, is confirmed for this year since they've been very silent about it. It's still coming. Yay.
Yay.
Well, I'm happy because it looked really good. I love VanillaWare. Have you played Dragon's Crown?
Yes, I do enjoy VanillaWare a lot. I really liked Muramasa.
Yeah, this actually seems closer in art style to the Muramasa series. Like, it's less extreme, and it's more like cutesy. It's the other style of George Kamitani.
Yeah. But I generally like the gameplay of their games, and I always like the aesthetic of it, kind of. So I'm definitely interested to see where this goes, and I'm glad it's still plugging along.
And then we go into the last news, which is the biggest one this week, which is the whole debacle with visual novels on Steam.
Yep.
Basically, what happened is that Steam started sending warnings to developers of visual novels with adult content. And this is mostly Western developers that create Japanese-style visual novels, but also a couple of Japanese developers were affected as well. Which is the developers of the Nekopara series and Illusion that released the VR Kanojo. But a lot of developers that were Western developers creating visual novels on Japanese style. Like all the developers affected were creating Japanese style visual novels or games with adult elements, and they were accused to have the games were pornographic, and despite the fact that all of them are censored on Steam, because all games are censored on Steam except like for consoles, in the way that all the sexual content is removed. But the most you will see in those games is bare boobs. But so basically, it's entirely within the M rating of the ASRB. So Steam sent those warnings, giving them 2 weeks until the end of the month to further remove the pornographic content without giving them any indication of what that pornographic content was, and threatening to completely remove their game for Steam if they didn't comply. Which it was big problems because many of those teams are small teams that literally saw their livelihood and their ability to continue to operate with the revenue completely jeopardized. And that was like really a bad action from Steam. So there's been a large media reaction. Interestingly, the media was very compact in expressing the support for these developers, which is actually kind of surprising considering there are many outlets out there that are more like favorable to censorship. But in this case, pretty much everyone was on one side. So, and also there was a petition from gamers that actually last time I watched a few hours ago was 13,000.
Years ago.
Yeah, a few hours ago it was 13,000 signatures, and this is like 1 day and a half. So looks like this kind of games still have quite a big following of people. And in the end, Steam backtracked, at least partially. They basically what they did was go back. They said, disregard our previous mail. We will review your game for content and give you further feedback. But in the meanwhile, the deadline of 2 weeks is waived. So you wouldn't have to fear of having your game removed, and we will, if there is anything that needs to be changed, we will tell you exactly what. So,
and that's, I think, how it should be.
It's partially. I don't think these games, any of these games, at least for what I've seen of them, requires any kind of further action because they are literally within the M rating. Like there is nothing in these games that is more erotic than what you will see in The Witcher. Or like Grand Theft Auto 5, or like Conan Exiles that I'm reviewing right now, has full frontal nudity. You can literally go around with your wonker flopping around, and I'm not joking.
Isn't it determined by like your Steam ID, the size of your?
No, that's
parts?
Rust.
Oh, right, that's Rust.
Conan Exiles, you can actually choose your size, both of your boobs if you're a lady, or of your wonker. So yeah, if you want to like compensate for deficiencies in your real life, Conan Exiles is the game for you.
Conan Exiles has your back.
But yeah, these games have nothing that compares to these. So if they don't require the removal of this kind of content, and they shouldn't, from games like The Witcher 3 or GTA 5 or Conan Exiles, they should not require it of these games as well, because it would be a double standards. And that's not good. Just because they have anime style, that they should not be impacted. So we'll see how it goes, though. I've been in contact with quite a few of these developers. They promised to let me know how the situation gets resolved. So we'll see. But for now, so far, so good. There has been score 1 for the good guys, let's say. And let's
yeah, but you've definitely been hot on this. Right. I've been, but it's good. Steam's guidelines.
Sorry?
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're talking about guidelines.
Well, I was just going to say that Steam's guidelines have always been they need to be, I feel like, reworked, sort of, to be more specific. And definitely the fact that they were sending people emails and not telling them what aspect of the game it was that was causing them to have so many issues with it is, first of all, they're not going to be able to fix it. Yeah. Like, they're not going to be able to fix it if you don't tell them what you don't like. And most of these games are already censored anyways, when you have those patches that you can apply to get rid of the censoring, but still, most of these games are already censored. So, it was just a weird decision on Valve's part, and I'm confused by... I'm glad that it got a lot of outpouring of support from people. I think a lot of people see censorship and they don't like it, especially on digital content on the internet, that sort of thing. Because it's if an outlet where you sell stuff has rules, I'm not against censoring your game if you as an artist want to sell it on your initiative. I am an artist and I want to sell my product on this storefront, which has rules, which I need I need to comply with these rules to sell my product there. Yeah. So I'm okay with the idea that I decide to censor my product because which is the same for consoles. A lot of visual novels have their sexual content removed to go to consoles because it's not that Sony or Nintendo or Xbox or Steam normally, like before this problem, told them, okay, we want you to censor these, and these. They have rules that pre-exist, so they're just respecting those rules, and it's their choice. They can decide not to sell their stuff there if they don't want to alter the stuff, and they can just offer a patch especially on Steam, they can just offer a patch to restore the content. So I'm not against this. I'm against like forced censorship that just when you don't have this restriction and developers are forced to censor the game. I'm against that. But in this case, it's perfectly okay as long as the rules are clear, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And that was one of the problems. As long as they apply to everyone. Like, not just because you're a manga game, then you should have stricter rules than a game that's a realistic style, right?
It depends on the context, I think, but generally, I think that you should try and keep consistency as best you can. You don't want to make a double standard. Sure. But I think it was definitely not, I don't want to say not cool, but kind of scummy of Steam to send out emails and then not even highlight what points they were concerned about so that it could, like, go back and argue with them or kind of discuss with them the issue. They were just like, oh, take it down 2 weeks.
The reason why personally I was hot about it was not because of censorship in this case. It was because literally some small developers were seeing their livelihood jeopardized. That's not fine. That's not okay. Like, Steam,
it was nice to see them get a lot of support rallied around them.
I'm glad, and if it's true, because they say that this kind of stuff was started by some kind of like right-wing, super prudish and absolute and like moralistic group that protested with either Steam or PayPal. I don't know. I don't even want to go deep into that. Because that's like some nut jobs, really. But the thing is that if that's the case, whoever started this, well, thank you, because all you managed so far was to unite the press and the public behind those developers. So,
and it does bring a lot of like news and spotlight to these games that might otherwise be like,
attempted censorship most of the times tends to get the opposite effect. It tends only to give those games, those media products more visibility. Because if someone tells you that you can't see something, you want to see it. Make sense?
Yeah.
So far, the situation seems to have normalized. Now we're waiting for Steam to give their ruling, but so far so good. And we can just, let's not say rest easy, but we can at least wait and see what happens. And that's it for this week. There were no other big news, let's say. Sure, more will come next week, but do you have anything to add, Emily?
No, not really. That's just about it, I think.
Then we are it. We're done. So, as usual, today we actually went a little longer than usual because Akihabara was a big topic and there was a lot of news. Sorry about that. But, as usual, if you liked, subscribe and press the thumbs up on YouTube. And please comment, tell us if you like it, if you don't like it, what you don't like, what you like. Constructing comments possibly. Or what you would like to hear in the next episode.
If you have any suggestions.
Yeah, if you have any suggestion, please give it to us because we are noobs at this, as you probably notice. So if there is something you would like us to improve, we will definitely try. We won't adopt every single suggestion we receive, but we will definitely read them and consider them. So I was Giuseppe Nelva from DualShockers. Well, I still am, but that's how they say. And
I am Emily from DualShockers.
And we're off. Bye.
Bye, guys.